Succession planning in the context of a small business is not just about making sure that your business doesn't close its doors or that you secure a buyout. It's about making sure that the legacy that you've built within your community continues on past your retirement, and also about taking care of your employees, and that the business does not change the nature of what it stood for while it was open with the next person in charge. But how do you go about identifying that successor? We're going to talk about that in this video. Hi, my name is Barrett Young, and I'm a partner here at GWCPA, and we specialize in succession businesses, the transition from that founding generation to the second and third generation. We've helped hundreds of clients with this over our 80 years. I'm also personally the 9th partner in the succession plan here at GWCPA. My predecessor will retire in 7 years, and so I'm in the process of stepping into the leadership of that role of managing partner. And we're also in the process of looking for my successors within the company, who those people might be, how do we get them to step up into a position of leadership within the company and consider themselves potential owners of this business someday. So this is a topic that's really personal to us here at the firm and something that we're talking about on a regular basis as well. The first step with finding an owner of a business is identifying the core competencies of your business. You've probably already done this if you've been around for a while, but it's what is it about your business that makes it unique, that separates it from the competition? Is it a style of delivery? Is it something in the culture? Is it some way that you price your services? You want to make sure that your successor is going to follow that same model, that they have those traits, they embody those traits within their personal and professional lives. As they step into this business role, that leadership has to come from the top. And so you want to make sure that your successor embodies those traits as well, so that your company identity continues into the future the same way that it was when you left it. Incidentally, this is also why a lot of acquisitions fail. When a successor is not identified and an outside firm comes in and buys it up or consolidates it, what they usually have are the technical skills, the ability to deliver on the promise, but they don't have that unique identity of the company that sets you apart from everywhere else. And so that's why customers tend to leave, and that's why employees tend to leave after a buyout as well. So take a minute and think about what your unique characteristics of your business are. If you actually only had to pick one thing that sets you apart from all the competition, what would that be? Go ahead and leave that down in the comments for me below and let me know what that is that you would look for in a successor. The second important characteristic to look for in an important successor is going to be emotional intelligence, or those soft skills. So this is more than just can they do the job, can they deliver on the promise of our company? Do they have the ability to lead people? Do they have the ability to empathize with their team? Do they have the ability to stand firm when a client wants to walk all over the team? These are kind of the softer skills, the ones that are a little bit harder to train, but every employee is going to have a set of soft skills, and it's going to be about identifying which ones are going to make for a successful owner of this business after you leave. One caution that I want to leave you with here, a mistake that I see a lot of business owners make, myself certainly included, is we try to look for ourselves in our employees. So who is exactly like me? Who would run this company exactly the way that I did? And unfortunately, they're probably not going to be an employee within your business already. They've probably gone out and started a company just like you did. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the second generation is going to be best served by someone who is an exact replica of your characteristics, your emotional intelligence. Often what got you here, the saying goes, what got you here won't get you there. And so the traits that are necessary to drive a business from its founding through your first career might not necessarily be the traits that are necessary to take that business from that first generation leader through to another 2 decades as the second generation leader. So that's something to keep in mind. Sometimes this does require us to look outside the company. So as you survey your team, as you identify potential leaders, you might not see those necessary traits within your team. Everybody on your team might be content to be an employee. They might love the responsibility that they have at the level that they're at, but they don't necessarily want to step up into ownership. And so it might require you to look outside the team for the traits necessary to run that company. Now, I will say, if you bring them in early enough in the process, 3, 5, 7 years before you're looking to retire, it's no longer really an external acquisition as it is bringing somebody in with the purpose of them being your replacement so that they can become part of the team, part of the company culture, and continue forward. I do just want to encourage you, look internally again, because sometimes the right candidate might be within the company. They've just never seen themselves as a leader. I'm surprised, even in my profession, CPAs, where I'd always assumed that becoming a CPA kind of meant that you were on track to become a partner or an owner. I've always been entrepreneurial in my life, wanted to run whatever business I'm a part of. I'd always assumed that was the case, but we're finding even as we talk to CPAs, they never considered partnership or ownership is a possibility, even in this profession. And so you might have somebody on your team who's just never thought about it, never thought it was a possibility, and possibly bringing up that topic with them might be just enough to get them interested and start seeing themselves in that role. I will also say, especially if you're a great boss to work with, sometimes there is this, I could never be like them, imposter syndrome going on employees do. And so if you identify a potential successor, you're going to have to get real with them and have conversations that you have doubts, you have concerns, you get anxiety, you go through a lot of stuff when you make decisions for your business so that they can see that just because they are having those fears, it's not an indicator that they won't make a great boss. So once you have identified a potential successor, it's going to take a lot of conversations moving forward. This is not a one-time conversation. This isn't a conversation that you then update 3 years down the road or even annually. This is really a conversation that you should be having on a regular basis with that successor. How are you doing? What skills do you feel like you need to develop in order to feel comfortable with this? Updating them on your own timeline. Too many times as business owners, we don't want to reveal our hand, or we don't want to start to emotionally disengage ourselves from our business so early, but this often shoots us in the foot when it does come time for us to step away. What is it that you love about being an owner? Is it the intangibles of inspiring a team to go on in their career, seeing the satisfaction that they have with a job well done and working for a boss that they enjoy working with? Is it that you love selling your services to clients, that you love helping them? You want to start to share some of those things with your potential successor so that they start to see that being a business owner is a calling, it's a responsibility. It is stepping up and voluntarily taking charge of the well-being of a group of people and of a customer base. And it's not just about personally enriching yourself. Yes, there certainly is profit, ideally, for being a business owner, but it's not all about that. If it were all about the profit, there are many other ways that you could go about making a lot of money and not have to lose sleep at night like we do as business owners. But you want to get their buy-in. You want to talk to them about what it is that's personally rewarding for you, and then see where they're at. See what is their vision for their career? What's their vision for this profession that they're in? What things do they see could be changed? Be willing to hear these things, because if somebody is going to come into a company, they're probably not going to want to run it the exact same way that you did forever. They're going to want to make some changes. And so you need to have conversations like that regularly. But through all of this, the one thing you do want to be aligned on for the success of your business is you do want to be aligned on that vision, that strategy. Some of the tactics will need to change. Some of them will need to be updated as you face new challenges. But the direction that the company is going, you should have buy-in on that with this potential successor. One of the last topics that we see business owners have a hard time addressing, and this is probably the biggest roadblock that employees face when they consider becoming an owner of the company, is the concern over how to actually fund the buyout of that company. You know, there's so much online noise about seven-figure buyouts and SBA loans with huge down payments and private equity search funds that it can start to feel like business acquisition is out of reach for most people unless you go through an MBA or unless you have a team backing you. And this can cause employees to not understand that the majority of small business acquisition is actually very attainable. Most businesses are acquired for less than the purchase price of a small starter home. And that most business acquisitions can actually be done without any cash out of pocket brought to the table. The business itself can fund that buyout. I actually interviewed for the podcast a chiropractor who bought her business for only $10,000 and was up and running within that business within 30 days. If you're interested in that story, I'm going to link it here, and you can go and watch that whole interview. It's a great story of small business acquisition. Otherwise, I will see you on the next video.